If you come in the afternoon.
If there's not
like
any
dumpsters and
financials related to the sergeants wanting
And a
to
huge
enter into the union contract, let's say they just want in and don't want to negotiate anything for 3 years, we don't have to bring that back to council, do we?
positions.
I'm just curious.
I think we'd like to,
We would
because
need
we're
to.
changing the bargain.
Please rise for the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Cecily, please call for the vote. Oh, sorry. Please take roll.
Counselor Augsburger,
Present.
Counselor Bronson, Counselor Hagee,
Here.
Counselor Richards.
Here.
Counselor Sanchez,
Here.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Here.
Mayor Coleman.
Present. Was Counselor Bronson able to join? No. Okay. So let the record show that there are 6 present and 1 absent. Moving on to the first item on the agenda is the consent agenda. We have 2 sets of meetings within that.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to approve the minutes, the consent agenda. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Augsburger,
Yes.
Counselor Hagee,
Yes.
Counselor Richards.
Yep.
Counselor Sanchez.
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
Yes, let the record show that we have 6 ayes and no nays. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is recognition of visitors and hearing of petitions. We have Gary Jarvis who would like to come forward. As you know, name and address for the record.
Gary Jarvis, 2941 Foothills Drive, Sweet Home. Real quickly, whoever's idea it was to do the neighborhood garbage collection and like that, great idea. Whoever that originated that. The reason I should first say, good evening, Madam Mayor and councilors. The reason that I wanted to speak tonight is last year, my wife and I went on a bucket list trip to Zion National Park and some other attractions down there. And on the way back, we took mostly roads that are less traveled, some of the old state highways and like that. We came through this little town called Levon. It's on Highway 28, about an hour and a half south of Salt Lake City, population about 800 people. And they had this great splash park. Lois and I found a place for a picnic, and we found this was there. And it was built completely with grant money. The splash park itself cost $91,000. Now this was built 4 years ago next month, so it's not probably going to be more expensive now. But including the surveys and infrastructure prep that they had to do and everything, the total cost was $138,000. And if I hadn't mentioned before, the population is only 800 people. And so this is something I've seen in Sweet Home on social media where people have lamented the fact that we don't have a splash park. And when I saw this, we talked to the people that in the town and found out how they came by getting this. And I'd been meaning to bring this up at City Council, but had never fished through all of my hundreds and hundreds of photos so that I could bring them with me when I came to speak. They said that it costs about $400 a month for chemicals, and it takes about 20 to 30 hours to set it up at the beginning of the warm season. And they devote about an hour a week to its maintenance. But being said they're in a colder, sandier climate, they do have a few problems with sand clogging filters and things like that. But they still said overall it is pretty inexpensive to run, and it's something that I think that we should try to see if whoever it is that seeks out grants, that this is something that I would like to see some discussion about to try to secure a grant for something like this, because we've got the park space for it, and I think that it would be very welcome. And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you so much for coming forward with that great idea. And I've heard that from many others, so thanks for bringing that to us. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, new business request for council action, Sweet Home Police Employees Association Collective Bargaining Agreement.
Yeah, Madam Mayor, Council, good evening. Tonight, we're asking for approval of a new 3-year collective bargaining agreement contract between the city and Sweet Home Police Employees Association. So this would cover the period from July 1st of this year to June 30th, 2028. The agreement, as you're probably aware, is a result of several months of collaborative negotiations, and I'm pleased to report that we have reached what I think is a fiscally responsible deal that ensures continued labor stability for our frontline police personnel and dispatch, and also other non-sworn like our 2 CSOs. And supporting the goals of essential services and effective governance. So the key highlights of this are wage increases over the next 3 years of 5%, 4%, and 4%. There's some updates to incentive pay related to education and DPSST certifications. There's a new 1% residency incentive to try to encourage officers or potential officers to have local housing within the city limits. And then importantly, we also added an agreement that includes a reopener clause should our police sergeants seek to join the bargaining unit. It's obvious why it matters. Our current contract expires at the end of this month. And so retroactive corrections could create some administrative burdens if it goes past that, particularly to finance. So we have 3 options before you, and staff recommends the option to approve the agreement. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from counselors?
Madam Mayor, I just want to say, I think the police have done a great job over the last 4 or 5 years that I've been here. And this is very well deserved, so I'm happy to support it.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments from counselors? I will entertain a motion.
So moved as recommended.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? I too also want to thank City Manager, Police Chief Ogden for working this deal out and getting this done before the end of the fiscal year and being within budget. I appreciate that.
Yeah, welcome.
If there's no further discussion, Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Richards?
Yes.
Counselor Sanchez?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger?
Yes.
Counselor Hagee?
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 6 ayes and no nays to approve the collective bargaining agreement. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, request for council action, Sweet Home Police Employees Association memorandum.
So yeah, this RCA it's related to the collective bargaining agreement. There was a memorandum of understanding that was created. And here's basically what it's about. So some of our current police officers, dispatchers, and community service officer, they're receiving some education-based incentive pay under the current contract. Under the terms of the new contract, those specific incentives related to education pay are being replaced or modified primarily by enhancements to DPSST certification incentives. So we wanted to essentially, for these folks who already are receiving education pay, or incentive, I should say, we want to grandfather them in, allowing them to retain their existing education incentive until the new DPSST or other incentives surpasses what they currently earn. So there's no new costs here. This has all been budgeted for. We just basically wanted to grandfather them in, and so we created this MOU. So there's 3 options there again. Staff recommends option 2 to approve the MOU as presented, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions from counselors? Hearing none, I will entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Hearing none, Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Sanchez?
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad?
Yes.
Mayor Coleman?
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger?
Yes.
Counselor Hagee?
Yes.
Counselor Richards?
Yep.
Let the record show that there are 6 ayes and no nays to approve the MOU. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is request for council action ordinance number 7 for 2025.
So Madam Mayor, Council, so at the direction or at your direction from the May 27th meeting, staff has prepared an ordinance bill, excuse me, number 7 for 2025, which would repeal the Sweet Home Municipal Code 13.04.170. So this is the city's longstanding requirement to fluoridate our public water supply. So the original requirement was enacted all the way back in 1964, following a special election. So what's before you is a response to your recent interest, revisiting this requirement. So tonight presents an opportunity for you all to formally discuss this, consider whether to maintain, repeal, or refer the matter to the voters. Just a brief note here for financial consideration. I thought you might all want to know that operating the system currently costs the city about approximately $20,000 a year in chemicals and associated operations. As far as a historical note, back in 2014, there was a public hearing held on this topic, but no action was taken at that time. Council advised that any changes be initiated through a petition process, and this time, Council's leading the conversation forward. And so you have some options before you. There's 5 on there. There's take no action, conduct a first reading of the proposed ordinance, amend the proposed ordinance before reading, refer the issue to voters via ballot measure, or request some further research. So with that, I will leave that with council to discuss further.
Any discussion or questions, comments from councilors?
Madam Mayor, when I did my tour of the water treatment plant, wasn't there fines also addressed with it where like we don't use it, so we're being fined too? Oh, no. Oh,
Not at this time, no.
Not at this time, but we do pay an annual hazardous waste fee for
Okay.
having the product on site. It's about $3,000.
perfect. So I think it's best if we just repeal it ourselves instead of putting it on the or out the ballot.
Any other comments or questions from councilors? Looking at the information I was reviewing, since knowing this was going to be, this has been brought up, I'm grateful to Councilor Richards for bringing it up. Does anybody, would you like to make a motion? And you can't say move as recommended because there was no recommendation. So you need to make a choice between what was provided there.
I would like to make a motion on option number 2 to conduct the first reading as presented.
I will second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion from councilors? Hearing none, Cecily, please call for a vote.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger,
Yes.
Counselor Haggy,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Yep.
Counselor Sanchez.
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 6 ayes and no nays to approve this ordinance. Now we shall hear it. Since we just had a unanimous vote on an ordinance, we can make another motion to have it read by title only tonight for the second time.
I'll make a motion to for second reading.
I'll second that.
I have a motion and a second to do the second reading by title only this evening. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger,
Yes.
Counselor Hagee,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Yep.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad.
Yes.
Let the record show that there are 6 ayes and no nays to read this ordinance for the second time.
Ordinance Bill number 7 for 2025, ordinance number blank, Sweet Home Ordinance repealing the Sweet Home Municipal Code Section 13.04.170 fluoridation.
And I will now entertain a motion to have the third reading of this ordinance at our next council meeting, if councilors are interested.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second to read this ordinance for the third time by title only at the next council meeting. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Augsburger,
Yes.
Counselor Hagee,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Yeah.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman.
Yes, let the record show that there are 6 ayes and no nays to move this to the next meeting for the third reading. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is third reading of ordinance bills. Request for council action on ordinance number 6 for 2025.
This is ordinance bill number 6 for 2025, ordinance number 1335, Sweet Home Ordinance amending Sweet Home Municipal Code Chapter 3.24, Transient Lodging Tax.
I will entertain a motion to adopt ordinance number 6 for 2025. Unless there's need for discussion.
So moved.
I have a motion and a second to adopt ordinance number 6 for 2025. Any discussion? No, hearing none. Cecily, please call for a vote.
Counselor Hagee,
Yes.
Counselor Richards,
Yep.
Counselor Sanchez,
Yes.
President Pro Tem Thorstad,
Yes.
Mayor Coleman,
Yes.
Counselor Augsburger.
Yes.
Let the record show that we have 6 ayes and no nays to approve, to adopt ordinance number 6 for 2025. Moving on to the next item on the agenda is reports of committees. We have a few reports within there. I'd like to call on Director Daisy to give us an update on the library.
Helps if I turn on the microphone. So I have 2 things to talk about tonight. One of them is you have in front of you some swag that I got for an award that we received for the Library is Transforming Communities, Accessible Small and Rural Library Communities from the American Library Association. This grant is allowing us to purchase a new door for our handicap access to the library building itself. The one we have now works intermittently. So this will be great, but that's about half of the grant. And the other half, we get to decide the community gets to decide what we spend it on. So also in front of you, you have a little voting form. These are also available at the library for everybody. And I will also be talking with the Sunshine Industries tomorrow morning, I believe, and seeing what they would like as well. So there's just some options of what we can get. But this grant itself brings money to very small communities so that they can make their buildings and their community more accessible. And that's helps out everybody. The new door that we're getting is going to be kind of cool. It'll have a button around hip height and then also one at foot height, which that's the standard for this year. And with the ADA, and I think actually our stroller moms will absolutely love that on Storytime mornings. So I just have bookmarks and stickers in front of you for that. The other thing I'd like to talk about is in mid-May, I went to a conference in, where did I go? In St. Louis, I think. No, Missouri.
Kansas City.
I forgot where I went.
Kansas City.
Kansas City. I have a friend that just went to St. Louis, so I'm getting all confused. So it was the library's Advancing Community Learning to Reduce Substance Use. This was about 50 librarians from across the country were invited to this. And there's everyone from New York Public Library was there to a very small one-person operation, volunteer-run library in Texas. We were one of the smallest that were there. This group is working together on a research paper that'll be freely available toolkit, which will help all libraries to figure out what that they can do in their community to reduce substance use, and also just for harm reduction in general. And harm reduction can be everything from publicity on how to put the car seat in your car correctly to actual having Narcan on site. It's absolutely everything that can prevent harm from happening to anybody. So and that will look very different in every community. The 5 main topics that we talked about were, of course, harm reduction, bibliotherapy, outreach and marketing, and libraries and social connections. I think some of the best things I learned were about more what harm reduction is, as again, like I just said, it can be almost anything. And then making those social connections in libraries through the community and having the library be really that big community space where people can go and just be themselves and just better ways to promote that to the community. The working paper is in a rough draft form that we're all looking at right now. And they expect to have that published in the fall, and we will be part of that with pictures and all of that. So I think this is a great event. It was fully paid for. I have applied for a grant with Corvallis, Albany, and Lebanon libraries to create a small harm reduction styled collection in each of our libraries. And I'll find out probably late July if I get that as well. So I think it's a great thing. It's a little out of the norm for us, but I think being such a small library, I think it was a great thing to be able to be part of such a big thing that'll happen across the country. And I'll take questions if you haven't, or happy to talk with anybody at any time.
Well, I just want to say what a great honor to have you represent our community at such a small event that, yeah, we were one of 50 there, and thank you for going and representing us well. And congratulations on the grant that you received. That's great news to improve our library. So well done. Any other questions from counselors? Any other committee minutes that people would like to discuss?
Madam Mayor, I have a couple updates. We had our meeting, just throw out a few dates and different things. We currently have 146 members for the chamber. And if you know of a business or an individual that would like to join, you do have access to host certain events. There's an event calendar. You can put your events online. Maybe a part of the directory. There are a few things coming up. Cut the Gut is the biggest one. If there's anybody interested in registering that's still open for July 8th. And then Sportsman's Holiday is coming up, and there's just a bunch of stuff going on. As far as parks, we had the safety fair in the park at Seiki this weekend on Saturday. It did rain quite a bit, but seemed like there's a good turnout of people. Quite a few vendors out there, a couple goats. So that was fun. Beautification committee, they've been working this morning. They were out on the entrances to the city. And then they are weeding the median and looking for volunteers on July 1st. And I just want to say thank you to the Parks Committee, Beautification Committee, Public Works for all the stuff they've been doing. It's been a very busy time of year. And if you've been out to the parks, I mean, they look great. So that's it.
Great. Thank you. Any other counselors have updates?
May I?
Yeah.
I just wanted to add that the library board is also continuing to discuss possible new library locations. So we have a work session in July to kind of discuss some of that. So it's exciting to just continue to dream and plan and hope to see what we can bring to the community. So thank you for your work on that as well.
Great. Thank you. Any other committee comments or discussion?
Madam Mayor.
Yeah.
There is a vacancy for the Parks Committee. So if there's anybody interested in that seat, let us know. Also, I did want to invite anybody who wants to be on the Parks float for Sportsman's Holiday. If you're available, want to be a part of the parade, the Parks is putting together a float. So
thank you. All right, moving on to department reports. There's the one from the police department.
Yeah,
You want to highlight anything?
I have a couple things. Interesting. Some of our crime stats are up here year to date. Our society crimes and Oregon specific crimes up 45 and 41%. Without really, I didn't have a chance to really dig into like exact crimes, but I suspect that with the changes to the Oregon state drug laws that went into effect this last year, I have seen, as I'm kind of looking through police reports, more drug-related charges for the, they used to be violations and now they're C misdemeanors. So I have been seeing more of that. And so I suspect that that is the reason for the increase. Also, this time of year, it's warmer and busier. People are out and about. So there's that. And then another thing I wanted to highlight, I just wanted to thank Jay and Teresa Burcham of Burcham's Metals. They ended up donating 6 AEDs for our patrol cars. And it was working through the Albany Safety Foundation. So anyway, they reached out to us and said, hey, do you all want some AEDs? And coincidentally, we were one of our officers was looking, well, not looking, he had applied for a grant for AEDs. I hadn't heard anything and I just assumed maybe we didn't get it, but here we're going to have some. So I just got the email today that they are ready to be delivered. So I'm pretty excited about that. So I just wanted to say thanks to Jay and Teresa with Burcham Metals. It was a very nice donation. So, and I think that's all I have for PD.
And would you like to continue with the city manager's report?
I can do that.
Unless
Yes.
somebody has a question for you.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Any PD related questions?
Nope, hearing none. Go ahead.
Okay. So yeah, I just kind of piggyback off of what Councilor Hagee said. I just wanted to thank everyone who was involved with, from volunteers to other agencies that showed up to put on the Jim Beam Safety Fair. It was a success, even though it was raining. We actually had a pretty good turnout. One of the I have to thank Public Works because they had these little orange vests that to hand out to the kids, and I think that was maybe one of the most popular items that was given away for swag that day. I saw so many kids with orange vests on, so it was pretty cool. So I just wanted to thank everyone that showed up for that, and as well for Sean Morgan and our part-time CSO Jennifer Gaspert for really kind of coordinating that. So they did a great job. Also just wanted to highlight you're all aware, the Sweet Home Shines code enforcement program that's been going on for the last couple of weeks. As of Monday, I know there's new numbers, Adam told me today, but as of Monday anyway, there were over 150 households that have participated. More than 160 cubic yards of trash have been removed from Sweet Home, and those numbers are actually higher after today. And so it's been a success. And so I am just really thankful for Code Enforcement Officer Grundy and all of his hard work for putting this together. Adam, thank you for your hard work for helping Ray at all of these locations. I just want you to know how thankful staff is and our community is for all of that. So pretty exciting. Another thing I wanted to highlight is I noted that there was some transient lodging tax legislation that potentially is good. The Oregon House recently passed House Bill 3962, which adjusts how cities can allocate revenue from the transient lodging taxes. I thought it was interesting that this passed, and we've been talking about this. So basically, the big idea is the new structure allows for up to 60% of TLT funds to be used for general fund purposes while maintaining a 40% minimum dedicated to tourism promotion and marketing. So from what I can tell, it seems like a good thing. The added flexibility allows us to really kind of responsibly respond to any impacts of tourism, while still investing in economic growth that it brings. So just wanted council to know that there was something brewing in legislation that just that passed. And we were talking about this at the same time. And then a couple of things. remaining. So the 4th of July, we have fireworks here in town. Adam's going to be a part of that. That's going to be at Radiator Supply House. Just wanted to remind the community that I don't know if since I've been here in 97, I don't think we've had fireworks on the 4th of July. So that's pretty exciting. So that will be down at Radiator Supply House that evening at dusk. And then I'll mention this at the next council meeting as well, just for the public, but on July 12th, we have our Sportsman's Holiday Parade. And in the early morning hours, we usually block off Long Street and then do a traffic conversion on Main Street. So just kind of prepare yourself for, accessing businesses on Long Street and parking your vehicles. So just a reminder. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Any questions from counselors? Moving on, thank you for that report. Is the mayor's report, and I too just want to do a shout out to the Jim Bean Safety Fair and everybody who participated in that. It was a wet day, but it was really well attended. I do want to say a special thank you to Rebecca for getting the orange vest, but also for Brian and Rebecca for enduring the rain and being there to hand those out to kids. I also want to say thank you to the Public Works for their what is the paving, the crack sealing. They're so enjoying that, but they're doing a great job.
Yeah, you probably noticed that Strawberry Loop got a little more than needed, but it was needed because of the
Somebody sent me a great meme after that, which was hysterical. That
but it will be ready to slurry, and I think that's our next step. So
yeah.
we even knew that we were going through, we ordered, I think, another 5 or 6 pallets. And so we'll continue crack sealing this weekend through next week. So
That's great.
we'll see how many linear feet or miles we get when we're done.
That's great because I think that correlates into that paving program that we have that really kind of preserves the streets that we have. So well done to Dominic and Brian and the team and everybody that's participating in that. Thank you to Ray and Adam for the work you're doing on the Sweet Home Shines. I get more comments about that than anything else right now. And it is a great idea and a great program. So thank you for doing those things to brighten up our community and make it look cleaner. So I don't have anything else, and I know people are anxious to get out of here. So anything for the good of the order?
Madam Mayor, I do. So I was going to say, is Greg going to talk about Public Works and the pavement preservation? Because I was so excited to see that crack sealer go into work. So thank you also for that. And I wanted everybody to know Sine Die is on Sunday. So we're getting close to the end of the legislative session. There are actually a couple TLT taxes that they're considering passing. And the transportation bill is kind of up in the air. So we'll be waiting to see what happens there. But lastly, I also talked to Attorney Larson and City Manager Ogden about an opportunity that I have this summer to go work on wildfire. So I just wanted to make a point to tell Madam Mayor and the council that it's possible that I could be deployed as soon as Sine Die is over. I'm not quite sure where we're going to go, if we're going to go, how long we're going to go, but I would certainly hope that I could have excused absences if I was going to be out fighting wildland fires. I will try my best to be at every council meeting on Zoom or on the phone if I'm not local, but I just wanted to let everybody know and get your blessing. So thank you.
Well, I think fighting wildfires is a big deal. So yeah, I don't know what other counselors have to say about that, but we'll move forward from there. But thank you for that service to our community and to this area. So I also want to say, as a council, we may want to consider shifting back to paving thing, owning a crack sealing machine. It's just an idea. So just to think about that for the future. Any other comments for the good of the order?
I was going to say I'm all for that too.
Anything else? Okay, I will close this meeting up at 7:03.